you okay?
I don't know.
Okay, did you call the police yet?
Yeah, I did.
I'm gonna call an advocate and you can tell us both at the same time, okay?
Hey, Sarah, your dad told me that you need help.
So, is there anything that I need to do, or...?
Just focus on getting better.
With an advocate on your side, you're never alone.
Today's the day! And look who I just met.
Hey, Dad.
You deserve a worry-free recovery. You deserve an advocate.
This is the Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find the Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, the Monty Show live on Wednesday, November 13th, 2024. A pleasure to be with you. Bros, as always, we're presented by The Advocates at theadvocates.com. The best injury attorneys in the business. They serve you how and where you need to be served. If you've been in an accident, you're in the hospital, call The Advocates. They'll get on the phone with you. They'll do a video chat. They'll come and sit with you bedside. Whatever you need, you get quality, risk-free advice from The Advocates. Chat with an injury attorney live online, 24/7, 365, and it won't cost you a dime. At theadvocates.com. Good morning to you. Appreciate you being here today. A lot to get to on the show. The college football playoff rankings are out. And just right off the jump, Jake, your thought, good rankings this week? Do you agree? Do you disagree?
I mean, definitely a little surprised that Colorado didn't move up a little more. You know, I think that, you know, it was a good win on the road. Felt like they played pretty well. Obviously, there was drama with the ball boy and the fans and everything. But, you know, I thought that was a good win for Colorado in Big 12 play. Thought you would have been a little bit higher than you are. Appreciated the love that BYU got in the coaches poll. I think that's a proper ranking for BYU. Still undefeated. No, I don't care if you think it was holding or not. You won the ball game. It is what it is. You're undefeated. And overall, you know, I feel like, you know, as far as, you know, in the bigger picture, you know, there are some questions. You know, I think that, you know, it seems that Bama's getting hated on. Not really sure how Cam Ward, you know, fumbles the ball like that, loses the Georgia Tech, and you're still in front of an SEC team. Don't really understand how that works. But, you know, I generally speaking, I think they got it mostly right, but a couple of small question marks like that.
I am a little surprised that the Big 12 feels as far away from two teams as they have ever felt, as does the ACC. And I think when you start looking at these numbers, here are the rankings for the week. When you start looking at these rankings and the possibilities in your head, how many Big 12 teams get in? I think doing the math, the only way that two Big 12 teams get in is if Colorado wins the Big 12 championship game. Because I think that as close as K-State and Colorado are, I don't think public sentiment favors K-State, especially losing the way that K-State lost that second one. I think Colorado is immensely popular. And I think if Colorado wins the Big 12 championship over an undefeated BYU team, they get in. I think that's as plain as I can put it. I think that is the only way that the Big 12 gets to win, because you look at the Hill, obviously BYU getting love at number 6. They're number 7 in the AP poll. And again, these two are pretty close, right? But you look at BYU at 6 in the college football playoff, 7th in the AP poll. I don't see any other way. How do you get another Big 12 team in there?
Yeah, I don't
the
know.
road is like, I feel like it's a steep hill to climb.
It's going to be tough. I think, you know, again, like it's a situation where I just don't think that there's another team in the Big 12 right now who has a great shot at it. I mean, we would need something to, like, you would need BYU to lose their last 3. You would need like some shocking development to happen for that conversation to come to the forefront. And I think that, you know, I just don't see a way that 2 is has any possibility other than what you said. I mean, Colorado is going to have to get to the Big 12 championship game and beat BYU and do something nobody expects them to do to get the auto bid into the playoff, obviously, by winning the conference. And then I think, to your point, BYU would still get in. I mean, you're obviously sixth in the country in the coaches poll. Like, if you lose to Colorado in the Big 12 championship game and you're a one-loss team at that point, you're still getting into the college football playoff. You're just not going to have the bye from winning your conference. So to me, I think that the Big 12 really needs that scenario to play out. Like, an undefeated season for BYU would be great for BYU fan. But as a conference, you need as many teams in as possible. So if you're a Big 12 fan, I think now you're all, pushing the Colorado program forward. You want to see them win. You want to see them, fully, embrace the underdog, mentality right now.
Yeah, and I think that what is really plaguing this league is the Iowa State K-State matchup. That's going to end the year. Obviously, that is a huge game for both of those clubs. I think that, unfortunately, one of those two teams will be eliminated. And I think that I would believe at this point that K-State has the advantage in that matchup. K-State's going to need help to get into the college football playoff or even into, the championship game, because I think if BYU doesn't run the table, we're having a different discussion. If BYU doesn't go undefeated, I think there's very little chance that the college football playoff adds two Big 12 teams. And I think it is a really, really damning indictment on the Big 12 that you just don't have depth in this league. I think it is one of those things where the state of Texas, again, has to step up for this to be a powerhouse league at any time in the future. And I'm not even sure that's possible with the way that gerrymandering, rigging of the system by the SEC and the Big Ten has happened. I don't know that it's ever possible for the Big 12 to be a power league and get multiple teams into the college football playoff every single year. But I know this, if the state of Texas does not step up, the Big 12 is going to continue to be a mediocre football conference. As dominant as this league is in basketball, it is going to be a mediocre conference in football, because without the Techs, the Houstons, the TCUs of the world, the Baylors of the world, you're just not going to be able to have multiple teams in the top 10. I just don't see that as an option. And you look at how little room for error there is between winning games and losing games in this league. You look at the plights of the Oak States and the Utahs this year. You look at the plights of how those teams are losing to clubs like Houston. The line between win and loss in the Big 12, I don't think has ever been thinner. I think that Houston is showing you. I think that Colorado, under Deion Sanders, building a program that is now one of the best programs in this conference, and that is not in disputes anymore. I think that is very damning to the teams that have been in this league for a long time, Jake, that I feel like now have let this league down in the first year of an expanded college football playoff, because I think it is going to be very difficult unless Colorado runs the table and gets into the championship game with an undefeated BYU. I don't see any other path for two teams to get in.
Yeah, and I think that conversation around these classic Big 12 teams letting the conference down is one that's come to the forefront, because now there's actually pressure on them to do something other than nothing. And again, like I'm sure K-State fan and Kansas fan and Tech fan and whatever fan, Baylor fan, probably don't want to hear that. You probably don't want to hear Oklahoma State fan that this. Like, you had to have a year this year. And the 1 year that the conference needed, K-State or Oklahoma State, or it'd be nice if it was coming from Tech, to do anything, they did absolutely nothing. And I understand that Joey's had a good bounce back here. And, they've obviously, you lost to Colorado, but that was a hard fought game. Like, you guys grinded in that game. It just is, it's frustrating as a Big 12 observer, because you feel like, man, like if these programs would just be decent, just be a 7-win team, this conference would be so much better than it is right now. And I have people yesterday on this show saying that the Big Ten's having a disappointing year, and this and that about other conferences. The Big 12 is the most disappointing conference in college football right now, in my opinion. Like the ACC, I don't expect any. See, here's the difference. I don't expect the ACC to be good in football. Nobody is like, yeah, wow, the ACC, man, football powerhouse conference. Nobody's saying that. They're a basketball conference, and they're lucky to get two teams that are relevant every year in Clemson and Florida State. And this year, they just happen to have SMU and Miami cooking.
SMU.
So, like, the ACC is even overachieving this year. So that's why I'm saying, like, I disagree. I think the Big 12 is right now, the most disappointing conference in the country because you don't have K-State.
Really?
You don't have Tech. You don't have
Oak State and Utah.
Yeah,
those are two of the
Utah.
most disappointing teams in the country.
And I know that sounds harsh, and I'm not trying to be mean about it, but when you take an honest look at the Power Four conferences, how do you come to any other conclusion? How do you get to a place where you say, oh, it's okay, K-State and Utah and Oak State, it's fine, dude. Oh, you just had one bad year. It's not an issue that you have nobody behind Cam Rising. It's not an issue that Brant Keithy's been basically your most reliable receiver for 3 years, and injuries have just riddled the program. That's not a problem. No
and
worries,
that now
dude.
Brant Keithy's out for the year, and his career at Utah is over with Cam Rising.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any question. Utah is one of the most disappointing programs in the country.
Yeah,
I think Oak State's one. I think Joey McGuire losing, disappointing. West Virginia, I thought West Virginia would be solid. And I know we joke about Neil Brown needs fired on this show, but I really hope that when we go through this process with the college football playoff, and maybe I'm being melodramatic, I don't know, you guys will certainly call me on that, but I hope that we see significant head coaching turnover in this league. I really hope that we see guys I would fire in this league. I'd fire Dave Aranda yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
He would be gone. Neil Brown would be gone. I think there is no doubt in my mind you have to put homeboy Mullet in Stillwater on the clock next year. If you do not win, I would say if you don't win 8 games, you're out. We got to make a change, right? I would put these clubs on notice, and I hope that we see 4 or 5 head coaching changes in this league because I just think it's not good enough anymore. And if you really want to be a competitive league, you cannot have just your conference champion in the college football playoff.
100%.
Not good enough. And I think that as much respect as I have for what Neil Brown has persevered through, you got to make a change in Morgantown. And I think that, I don't know, maybe I overvalue West Virginia football. I grew up on West Virginia Pitt, that rivalry, Dan Marino. Like, I've always looked at West Virginia as a university. Look how many quality quarterbacks have come through West Virginia. Look how many quality football players have come through there. How are you this mediocre for this amount of time? Well, you can only point to, you're not going to say fire the president, fire the athletic director. You got to make a change with the head coach. I say the same thing with Dave Aranda at Baylor. That's a school that's well-heeled, has the resources. Make a change. How? I understand you made a change and I should tread lightly because there's so many Joey McGuire supporters. I understand he's not been there 10 years, but do you really feel like Texas Tech football is headed in the right direction? No. And I would put Joey McGuire on the clock. Next year, I'm a guy that believes 6 wins is not special.
No.
6 wins, being a 500 football team.
Going to a bowl is not what it used to be.
Yeah, if you're in the college football playoff, you had a good year.
Yeah.
Win, lose, glizzy, whatever.
Yeah.
Glizzy,
yeah.
Speaking of Rory McIlroy.
Yeah.
Talk about that story. I look at the college football playoff as the minimum bar. And you probably, to get into the college football playoff, what, guys? We probably have to win 10 games to get into the college football playoff or have a shot at it.
Yeah,
in a power conference.
I think the bar is different in each power conference. I think in the Big 12, you got to be a 1-loss team, and you have to have strength of schedule. So like that's the only reason BYU's in this conversation, because they have strength of schedule. And obviously they haven't lost yet. And so they're on that trajectory to get into the playoff, but if you look at like the SEC, a 2-loss SEC team has the same access as a one loss or an undefeated Big 12 team or ACC team.
No, the real truth is a 2-loss SEC team is getting in over a 1-loss BYU team. That's the harsh reality of it. And if that 1 loss BYU team goes to the conference championship and loses, they're not getting into the college football playoff. If a one-loss SEC team or even a two-loss SEC team, like it's just the bar is not level.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because this Tony Petitti, Greg Sankey, I don't know, cauldron of death that they use for an agreement. These sacrifices to the football gods that they've made. I think the playing field is not level.
Well, I mean, let's be honest about how we got here. I mean, the SEC's had several Hall of Fame caliber football coaches in its conference for over a decade, right? I mean, you had Nick Saban, you have Kirby Smart, and obviously over the years there have been loads of elite head coaches, and part of that is that before portal and NIL was even a thing, we were talking about Nick Saban being one of the most prolific, college football recruiters that we'd ever seen. And so all of those different dynamics for a great head coach like that have allowed the SEC to win more than any other conference. And because of that, they have the control.
That's right.
And so I don't think it's like I think the SEC is here because they earned this position. They've beat you. They are better than you. They've run their program. They've spent more money. They've recruited better. Like, they've done all these things at a higher level.
That's right.
Than the ACC and the Big 12. And again, like, the title of the show today is, did the Big 12 get screwed by the college football playoff rankings? And I do think there's some slight towards Colorado and K-State. I think they didn't probably get, Colorado certainly didn't get the love I think they deserve. But the reality of the situation is nobody is sitting here saying, well, man, gosh, like, that's a bigger win than Bama beating LSU.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying that. And that's why I say, like we get, like, I had someone last week, I think it might've been Kim Coulter, one of the tech fans that listen to the show all the time, was like, you're dumb. You don't know what you're talking about with Joey. Like, maybe before you run your mouth, you shouldn't, you should
do some research,
homework.
guys.
And it's like, dude, what more research do I need to do other than what I see on the field on a week in and week out basis, which is, you're not good enough. Iowa State it's an embarrassing that you lost to Texas Tech at your place and ended your season. That's not good enough, dude. Like,
how is Texas Tech with one of the top two? I really value Baron Morton. I think we've talked about this on the show. Top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the league. I think Shador's one. I probably would take Jake Retzloff too. And then I think very close is Baron Morton. There's not a whole lot of other dudes I'd take over Baron Morton in this league.
Mm-hmm.
You have the best running back in the league, and you're not even in a conversation for the college football playoff because your defense and your coaching has been that bad. And yet we're the jackwagons for wanting to talk about, hey, need to raise the bar in Lubbock.
Yeah.
Right. And I think whether it's Morgantown, Lubbock, Texas, Waco, Texas,
Fort
Worth, right? You think Sonny Dykes isn't feeling some pressure in Fort Worth? Come on. Of course he is, as he should be. The problem is when you get somebody like Mike Gundy in Stillwater, Mike Gundy's not going to feel pressure. Mike Gundy's going to do what he's always done. Show up for work. We'll build a mediocre ass football team, and I'll keep collecting my paycheck.
And then we'll put out clips talking about how he's got to tell agents to stop, tell kids to stop having their agents call him. And, we got to fix a Pepsi cooler. And it's just, I think for me, I'm a little like, obviously we're deep into the college football season. We're getting into the all right, who's going to go to the college football playoff?
Yeah.
Who's that guy? And it makes me now, because of where the college football playoff format is at, it makes me now say, man, like, dude, like, I am a little burned out on the Gundy antics. I am a little tired of having to talk about, like,
Joey chomping on his gum and pressing his
like,
molars together.
Yeah, like I am tired of those classic, like, Big 12 head coach antics. What I'd like to be talking about is, hey, yeah, you know what? Joey did actually get over the hump. Like, Joey is in the Big 12 championship game. Mike Gundy did, actually recruit and embrace the portal and realize that, Alan Bowman wasn't ever going to be good enough as his starting quarterback. Like, we did have these revelations, and the Big 12 is moving in the right direction. And it's this Baylor letter last week. Like this conference right now is in a place where I don't think that, like, they want to be more respected in the national picture, but they're not doing any of the things.
That.
Yeah, they're not doing any of the things you need to do.
And I agree with you. The Baylor letter.
Yeah.
With this, we're going to have a summit. Is it a summit if nobody shows up when the Big 12 says, hey, we should all get together? It's not a summit.
And why didn't they show up? Because they don't feel the need to show up for you. Like, the Big 10 and the SEC don't feel the need. That's the issue.
Because they don't have to.
Yeah.
Anyway, all of this to say, my biggest question, and I wonder what you guys think. Do you believe?
Yeah, seriously.
That Colorado can make the college football playoff?
Do you believe?
I think at 7-2 and 5-1 in the conference, they have to run the table. This Saturday morning, they're playing at 10 a.m. at Folsom Field. 10 a.m. kickoff. You have to beat Utah at Kansas and Oak State. 2 of those 3 are at home. There is very little wiggle room here. And if Colorado's defense can make enough plays against Kansas, I think they go undefeated. Because I think that secondary is opportunistic. I think they will have multiple interceptions against Oak State.
What about Utah?
I think that the biggest question is, can Shedeur hold up and not get beat to hell against Utah's defensive front? Because I thought that was a lovely defensive performance against BYU.
Yeah.
And I thought that was Utah's best performance of the year on defense. And, if they hadn't been stolen from Utah and they hadn't gotten, the McIlroy Glizzy treatment, they would have won the game. The Rory McIlroy story is going to blow your mind. Anyway, my point is, don't say it. I do not say it. Anyway, the point is that I think Utah is very capable of beating Colorado, but I have my reservations if they can do that at home.
Mm-hmm.
If you're there, that game's in at Folsom, you're not beating Colorado and Boulder right now. If you're Utah, you don't have the firepower to do that. And I love Brandon Rose, and I love the heart of that defense. I think the offensive line has gotten much better.
Well, and that's speed in the wide receiver room for Colorado.
They're going to have to make Shedeur Sanders throw multiple interceptions if they're going to win that game, and I just don't see that happening. So yeah, I think that Colorado has a legitimate chance to go to the college football playoff. They control their own destiny now, and with being a one-loss team, and that loss obviously is to K-State. I think you're absolutely in control of your own destiny.
One loss in conference play.
And I think that one loss in conference play. And I think when you look at the issues that continue at quarterback, and you start to understand, because I haven't seen an update on Brandon Rose yet, but we'll see. And Brandon Rose is done for the year. So Rose is out for the year. We'll see how this offense bounces back. I think they're a more explosive offense with Isaac Wilson. The problem is Monty Parks is out for Utah's offense is just decimated by injuries. I don't even know how Cam Rising, Monty Parks, Micah Pittman, Brant Keithy, Brandon Rose are all out for the year.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got 3 games left. Good luck. Good luck. Which is just brutal.
Yeah, I think one of the obvious takeaways with when we're talking about Colorado trying to go undefeated at the end of the year here, this Utah situation is it's terrible. I mean, I understand that maybe they got to improve their depth a little bit, but I don't think any football team who lost their number 1 option at quarterback, number 1 option at tight end, their number 2 option at wide receiver, Money Parks, your number 2 quarterback. I don't know. It's just one of those years, man. And that's not an excuse. You're still a disappointing team this year. But it's hard to see, Utah, not taking that next step forward in the Big 12 at some point. I mean, the conference needs Utah, Oklahoma State, and ideally K-State every single year to be competing at the top. And then, again, love what BYU's doing this year, but you're going to have to now prove that you do that every year, right? We're going to have to see like that there's that.
Who are you,
step.
TCU?
Yeah, right. Like, so we need to see that every year out of BYU to kind of throw them in that conversation. But I don't know, man. I just want the Big 12 to have a year where you've got like 5 teams that are legitimate. Like, hey, this team is good enough.
See, and I just don't think that the powers that be in the Big 12 want to do what needs to be done to win. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Which
sucks.
Winning football games is not the beginning and the end.
Yeah.
That to me is tough, and I think when you have a 12-team playoff, I don't see any way the ACC and the Big 12 get 2 teams in. I don't, because again, excuse me, even with Coach Prime, the only way that Colorado gets in and the Big 12 gets 2 is if Prime runs the table and wins a Big 12 championship game. And I've already told you I hate the matchup for BYU if they go against Colorado. Colorado and BYU both have to win all their remaining games. Colorado's got to win the Big 12 championship. They get 2 in. That is the only math that I have found that puts them in, because you look at this right here, this is called an incredibly steep slope to climb. And yeah. I think when you start looking at the SEC, I think you're getting Texas in. I think Tennessee's going to get in. Alabama and Ole Miss. Here's the question. Here's the deal. Who winds up going to the SEC championship game? I think that's a huge question. And right now, if it ended today, it'd be the Vols and Texas A&M. Are you telling me if it ended today that Alabama and Ole Miss wouldn't get in? If they get in, right? But then you start doing some math, and you look at the fact that, Texas A&M's got Texas. Interesting question. I was talking to a buddy of mine who's a USC booster, and he said, is Texas real or not real? And I said with Quinn Ewers, I don't think they're nearly as good as they are with Arch Manning, because I look at it like I look at Isaac Wilson and Utah. I think Isaac Wilson's the more explosive player, but he makes too many mistakes, right? Their offense is more explosive with him at quarterback, but they make too many mistakes, and the play calling got too conservative because of all those mistakes. I look at Texas, Quinn Ewers sometimes. Do you guys ever, when you're watching Quinn Ewers play, you're like, dude, did they forget to put his brain in his skull today? Because he just doesn't appear to be there sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at Arch Manning and I say, that's a cat that, yeah, he's young. Is he going to make mistakes? Probably. But that cat throws the ball down the field on a rope.
Yeah, I mean, I think the hard part with that dynamic is, obviously, Arch didn't have a great showing against Georgia, but I don't feel like he got a lot of chances.
I don't think he was bad.
Yeah,
that run was phenomenal.
Yeah, the thing is what I'm saying is that he didn't. It's not like he got 20 plays. Like he got one drive or whatever, which wasn't really even a drive. And so if a USC booster is asking, is Texas real? Yeah, Texas is real, man. What are they, 1-loss team right now? Right? Like they've only lost to Georgia, I believe it is. And, what do we get this weekend? Tennessee, Georgia. Mm-hmm.
At Georgia. I think Tennessee can win that game. I think Tennessee's defense is the only 10 I see.
See what he did there? It's like Tennessee 10 I see. Right.
Your mom's the only Tennessee I see.
Right.
Okay. I think Tennessee can win that game. And when you start looking at numbers and you start looking at the fact that Georgia's a 10-point home favorite, if you're not betting the only 10 I see in that game, you're out your goddamn mind, because I think Tennessee can win that game. And if Tennessee wins that game, here, let's go back to it. Does Georgia make the college football playoff if Tennessee wins that game?
Nope.
If you're a Boise fan, who are you rooting for? I think you're rooting for Tennessee to win that game.
Yeah.
If you're an SMU fan, right? Like I think there's a lot of ground to be covered here. And I think one other thing real quick. Did you guys hear Deion Sanders yesterday? And I know that you guys hate Deion Sanders simply because, well, he's Deion Sanders. But again, I've espoused the greatness, the glizziness, if you will, Rory, of Deion Sanders. My question is, if there's any coach in the country you could have, don't you want him saying this?
Say we get 25 high school players. How many is going to play that freshman year at the most? Let's say 4 or 5, right? And so now you got 20 guys redshirted. So when you go through that spring with that 20 guys redshirted, how many are you going to retain after that spring? Or how many are going to jump in the portal on you? Let's just do it. If any one of you going to go statistically and try to calculate this, I already done it. So it's going to be how many? Half. Okay, why don't I just focus on 10? Guys that can – see, when we grab a freshman, we expect that guy to play. We're not looking at, hey, man, we can just redshirt you, develop you. No. We're looking for you to come in and play some football. I don't give a darn if it's a walk-on, if it's a Cash Cleveland. We expect you to play. So our approach is somewhat different, heavily scrutinized, heavily criticized, but we know what we're doing. So if anybody ever did the homework and the statistics of these young men that people have a class that they say is the number 1 class in the nation, then 5 of those guys play or 4 of those guys play, then the rest go through the spring, then they jump in the portal. Give me those numbers.
I mean, I think that's facts, bro. Like, he's not wrong.
Notre Dame, make the call.
Yeah. I mean, he is not wrong, dude.
Give me some blender sunglasses.
I mean, he goes on there to say later in the press conference, like, hey, if you look at the NFL draft and he asked the media, hey, who do you think won the NFL draft this past draft? And nobody had an answer. And he's like, yeah, you don't have an answer because nobody cares who won the draft. It's all about what players are on the field actually doing something for you. And I thought that to me shows you that Deion understands the portal and NIL and understands that people are going to hate, but that they're doing it a proper way and they're winning through that. And I think that, again, you don't have to like Deion, but
no,
you got to appreciate the fact that he understands the system and understands how to go about, getting enough talent in the program.
And I just, again, will ask you, I'm a Notre Dame fan. I'd have fired Marcus Freeman before I ever hired him. I would have never hired him. If you said to me today, you can have Deion Sanders or Marcus Freeman. Marcus, let me pack your shit because you're out.
Yeah.
I'll do it. I won't break anything. And a lot of newspaper wrapping going to happen.
Pack this thing up. We're out of here.
You're out. I wouldn't even hesitate. Hey, you can have Matt Ebersucks or Deion Sanders coach the Bears. Let me shave your beard, Matt, because you're done.
Cold-blooded, clean, methodical, and thorough.
Like, there's not a whole lot of coaches. And again, I look across this country. And
Deion or Brian Kelly?
Huh?
Deion or Brian Kelly?
Prime all day.
All
Brian
day.
Kelly doesn't win big games.
All day.
And I will tell you, of the coaches we've talked about, Neil Brown or Deion, come on.
Yeah. Joey.
Or Deion. I take Deion. Stillwater Mullet or Deion. Like, there's not a whole lot of coaches you're taking over him. Kirby Smart or Deion? Kirby Smart.
Ryan Day. See, now that's a tough one.
I'm probably taking Deion.
Now, Ohio State fans say, oh, you're out of your mind, Monty.
I don't like Ryan Day. I'm not. I don't want Ryan. Okay. This is going to go off the reservation, so just buckle up. What I'm telling you is, I only care if you make the college football playoff. Okay, if you're BYU, the expectation's lower. Kalani or Deion. At BYU, I'm taking Kalani. The problem is, I'm a guy who believes Notre Dame should play for a national championship every year. That's who we are. Marcus Freeman ain't that dude. I'm a guy that believes the Texas Longhorns. Is Sark that guy? I don't know. Can you imagine Deion Sanders with the horns on the side of his helmet? Come on, man. They're never losing a game. And the problem is, I don't believe that the garden variety West Virginia fan, does West Virginia fan believe that the Mountaineers should play for a national championship every year?
Do you believe?
No, probably
Should
not.
they? I mean,
Will
will they? No.
Do you believe, as a USC fan, that you should play for a national championship every year?
Yes.
You do.
Yes.
Which is why you're trying to fire Lincoln Riley.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I called this dude that I am just a casual friend. We're not like close friends. We used to work together. I call him yesterday, and he's a USC guy. Call him yesterday, and does he say, "Hey, Monty," or "Hello"? How did he answer the phone?
Hold on. Let me take a guess before you reveal it. Hey, this is Monty. Yeah, we're firing his ass.
No. He's like, you better be calling me to say ding dong, the witch is dead.
Was it the violations?
Those violations are meaningless, by the way. The USC got a $50,000 fine and a year of probation because Lincoln had too many analysts. His analysts were on the field coaching players. So they had too many coaches on the field during spring practice. Okay. My point is, how many programs in this country, even in the Big 12, how many programs in the Big 12 think they should play for a national championship every year?
Program.
Baylor?
No.
Texas Tech?
No.
Houston?
No.
BYU?
No.
Utah?
Yes.
Oak State?
No.
Like Kansas? K-State?
No.
How many programs in the SEC think they should play for a national championship every year? Tennessee? Yeah. They do. Ole Miss with Lane Train? Yeah, they do. Like at the
Bama,
bottom of the
Georgia.
that goes without question.
But I'm just sitting here thinking, like, in the SEC, you've got Bama, Georgia, Texas, Tennessee,
The only 10
Ole
I see.
Miss,
LSU,
LSU,
Missouri.
They
think so, right?
a lot of times Florida.
Florida. What about our friends in Norman? What is this, softball?
Yeah.
Oklahoma football fan thinks so. Auburn football fan thinks so. Kentucky football? Probably not. Mississippi State football? Probably not.
No. A&M.
But Texas A&M, why'd you go and hire Trev Alberts?
Yeah.
Why are you paying Jimbo to sit home and eat his boogers?
Right?
Yeah, like you think you should be. That's the difference.
Yeah.
And if I look in the Big Ten, you want to know who in the Big Ten doesn't? Yeah, about 16 of the 18.
Yeah.
The Big Ten, and I know yesterday, maybe this is a good litmus test. How many of those very average ass football teams think they should be playing for a national championship every year? Oregon, yes. Oh, Indiana, no. Ohio State, yes. The Fighting Sandusky Pedos,
Yes.
yes. Iowa, no. Minnesota, Illinois, UCLA, Rutgers, Michigan State, Northwestern, Maryland, Purdue. None of those guys think they should.
Sign stealer guy.
No. Central Michigan, absolutely not.
Did you guys see really quick? Did you guys see the NCAA has finally gotten to the Central Michigan portion of the Michigan cheating scandal? They're now digging into that.
Central Michigan's in trouble, in my opinion.
Anyway, please continue.
USC,
Yes.
Nebraska,
I actually would say yes,
Yes.
right now. Yes. Yes.
Michigan,
I do. Yes.
Wisconsin. You don't go hire Luke Fickell if you think you're not going to compete for a national championship.
But I feel like they haven't done much since they hired him.
They
Like,
haven't,
you
because
haven't
Barry
really heard.
Alvarez is still fat. Prick. There are few. Barry Alvarez is a really good human. I hate that guy. I've always hated. Camp Randall Stadium, where people go to die and get crushed.
Yeah, next question.
I hate that stadium. I hate that team. I hate those fans, and I hate Barry Alvarez, the football coach, not the human being. He's a good dude.
Right.
Anyway, childhood trauma. Illinois, no. But Oregon, Penn State, Michigan, USC, yes. Most of that league doesn't think they have a chance to compete for a national championship.
Because they don't.
Right? So that don't even get me into the ACC. Because how many teams in the already crowned Clemson League think that they should be competing for a national championship every year?
Yeah, I mean, it's like 3.
SMU,
No.
Clemson,
Yes.
Miami?
Yes.
Louisville?
No.
Pitt?
No.
Georgia Tech?
Nope.
The Cuse?
Nope.
Duke?
Nope.
Virginia?
Are
Tech,
we talking
Boston
basketball
College,
or what are we talking about here?
North Carolina, Wake Forest, NC State, Cal, Stanford, and, well, Florida State. And once Deion gets to Florida, the conversation changes. Florida
it's
State,
happening,
rather,
bro.
Deion, because he.
Do you believe?
I love all the guys in the comments section from Colorado yesterday. You're an asshole. One guy, you're an asshole. Okay. Hey, listen.
Thank you for your honest take, dude. That was really the depth in that take is just incredible.
Anyway.
All right. What
All
are
I'm
the people saying?
Yeah, you're exactly right, Tanner. I hate Wisconsin. I hate everything about Wisconsin. I hope you burn the roof of your mouth on a cheese curd. Anyway.
Okay. All right.
I'm more than slightly bitter. And we haven't even talked about Prize Picks last night. If you don't learn my lesson, let me show you. Okay? Because I did something that you should never, ever do on Prize Picks.
I feel like we're getting to this every day now where you do something you know you shouldn't do just to test the water.
You should, when you call a guy out as like a fraud and he's way overpaid and he's not the best player in the NBA, yet he's paid like the best player in the NBA. He's soft like soft serve ice cream. That's who Jason Tatum is. So you would never, unless you're Marty. I picked Jason Tatum. All I needed was 27 points, dude. Thanks for the 20 spot. Anthony Edwards. I needed 27 points. Thanks for those 26 points. Jerk face. And then Joel Embiid, 36.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He gave me 21. Retire.
No.
Fortunately for Chaboy, I also had a college basketball, excuse me. I can't even say it right.
Oh, did you get in the pooper for Cooper?
I did. And frankly, I would like it to be known that I went Kansas and Duke last night because Duke is Duke. Duke is Duke. I would like to thank my guy, and he is my guy, Hunter Dickinson. He of Glizzy Nation. I don't know if he is or not. My guy last night was 32.5 points, rebounds, and assists. 28, 12, and 1.
Good Lord.
41. Stud.
Ain't ducking no smoke.
I ain't ducking no smoke. And then I got in the pooper for Cooper. I almost felt like a pedo betting on Cooper Flagg last night, but I don't go to Penn State. Anybody, what do you think Cooper Flagg's points, rebounds, and assist number was last night?
25.
Points, rebounds, and assists. 32.5.
Okay, 32.
26 points. 12 rebounds. 2 assists.
Dilly.
Winning. And then I actually got really, really, really nervous because being in the pooper for Cooper means that you really don't want anybody on Kentucky to do well. But thankfully, Andrew Carr came through.
Right.
And your boy won 3 of 3 in college basketball. Put too much heat on the NBA, lost $5 last night.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. Download the Prize Picks app. I'm giving you the formula to succeed. Use the promo code Monty. Open a new Prize Picks account. You deposit $5. They'll give you 50 more instantly. Then you do a flex play. You make 3 selections on a flex play, so only 2 of those 3 got to come through.
Bada boom, bada bing.
Swing.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's easy peasy, fresh and squeezy.
Yeah, lemon squeezy and stuff.
Cooper Flagg is a can't miss on Prize Picks. So now you just got to find one more, and you usually will win. And I would like to thank the Utah Jazz last night. Huge win for the Jazz in that loss to the Suns. It was
Just still can't get past it, dude.
whew, man.
Huge win.
Huge win with that loss to the Suns last night. And my guy, Devin Booker, I do believe after the game, and we couldn't find the tape of it, but from what I understand, Jordan Clarkson retired after the game last night because his legs fell off in the spin cycle with Devin Booker.
Yeah.
But
Facts.
Sex Machine's going to glizzy, and Jordan Clarkson got beat.
So don't even think about messing with me.
Did you guys see what Devin Booker did to Jordan
Savage,
Clarkson?
bro. 2
spin moves and a hard stop to drop a 3, and Clarkson, I do believe Clarkson wound up in the first row from the 3-point line. Thanks for being who you are, JC. Thanks for being who you are. It is what it is. First one in this morning, David E. Parsons, same thing. Benny Parsons, $2. BYU is looking a lot like TCU circa 2022. You're not wrong. Yet you're set up because your quarterback is in place for next year. So, Vegas has bye week as 3-point favorite over Oklahoma State this Saturday.
By the way, real quick, since we're talking about our boy here, James tweeted at us this morning that he, quote, this is his words, "I don't deal with pedo priests, as the Monty Show says. I deal with all clergy misconduct." Thank you for the clarification, my dude. That's really appreciated.
So you do deal with pedo priests.
Yeah.
James is literally writing a book about pedophilia and the priesthood, amongst other transgressions. And I know that, God is right. Hell is not real.
Yeah.
He's dealing with, that's why he needs the Amazon gift cards, because
Right.
it helps him. This is why I don't read I don't want to hear about pedo priests at 4 a.m. This is why I don't get on Twitter.
Having fun is the name of the game.
I tweet. I never look at my
my
inbox or the notifications. I'm not here for it. Geoff, hello. Tanner says, "Attaboy, James, fighting the good fight." Exactly right.
There you go.
Exactly right. Let's see. Who else is in this morning? Stepanik, hello. Did you hear Rex Ryan talking about Deion coaching the Cowboys?
That's all ESPN wants to say, and I just don't feel like it's a great fit for Deion, man.
Why, if you're Deion Sanders, would you leave the cushy life of college football, where every high school football player essentially wants you to call him, to go work for Jerry Jones?
I'm good.
What ESPN won't say is Jerry Jones is not a good owner. Jerry Jones is not the guy you want to go and work for, because you're not going to win games until he, how shall I say, is no longer in the picture.
He is a sick puppy.
You're not going to win games with the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
I'm just saying. Anthony Eason, Boise doesn't care who wins that game. They are in regardless if they win out. Well, if they win they would be the highest ranked G5. So the problem, and again, this is what I say about Boise. And I know that everybody gets upset when I say this about Boise. It's cool you're 5-0, but what is your quality win? What is your quality win? Oh, Monty, they beat San Diego State. Oh, you mean that 3-6 San Diego State team? Okay.
Oh, dear. Oh, my.
Well, I mean, they do have directional Georgia. You lost to Oregon.
Yeah, quality loss there.
Then you beat Portland State, Washington State, Utah State,
right?
Hawaii, UNLV, San Diego State, and Nevada. And you just beat Nevada, who's 3-8 and 0-5. And thankfully, you have San Jose State left on your schedule, Wyoming left on your schedule, and Oregon State left on your schedule. And I'm not saying that Washington State is a bad football team. They are 8-1, but the problem is their 8-1 is the same schedule that Boise's played.
Right.
And they don't have a leg to stand on because, well, they lost to Boise. And they don't have the Oregon loss, which was a good loss, and it counts for things. It's cool that you are, what are they? What's their record right now? Just want to make it 8-1, 5-0 in conference. So what happens to your ranking in the college football playoff. Certainly you moved up with the win. Oh, wait. Are you sure this is the right graphic?
I might have messed up. It might be last week's.
This can't be the
Oh.
you're outside the top 12 and you want, I can't believe that. This has to be a wait, let me check the well, you know, I don't know if it's a misprint but wait, that must be the Soccer Writers of America that have Boise at 13. Certainly the college football oh, that's right. They won and they dropped a spot.
It's so savage.
See if I can...
Yeah, maybe it's just that you got the sleepies in your eyes, you know, like.
Okay. Nope, that says they dropped a spot.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
It's unexplainable, dude. I have no idea how that you know. Here, let me hear. Hang on one sec.
I don't know.
Okay, here we go.
See that?
I don't know. I don't know if I don't quite know how to answer that, to be honest.
Divide the 7 and then move the decimal point 3 spots. They still dropped a spot, and they're still 5-0 in the conference, and they dropped a spot. But Boise,
hey man, you know,
you do you, man. You do you. Mike Smith, prime is perfect for college football.
100%.
Perfect.
100%.
Would you want him in Morgantown, Mike Smith? Roy Wall, Prime had been coaching at a high level for years in his camps. My only question was, could he build a program? The obvious answer is yes.
Right.
And again, his point about the portal versus high school, and I've been trying to espouse my greatness on this for how long?
Did you make a banner today?
No, I did not. I told you so Wednesday. I did not. I'm too humble. You know, as a humble leader and a maker of men.
Right.
Who are you, Rory? My point.
Hey, look here, man.
Dude, I cannot wait for the Rory McIlroy story. My point is, I think that Deion Sanders is exactly right, that you don't want to have the top high school recruiting class in the country. If you get that, that's cool. But with the way that the portal works, you want the best portal players coming to your program. Because who are those players that are in the portal that are highly rated in the portal are usually the highly rated high school player who's unhappy in his spot.
Yeah.
And wants to win.
And you're Deion Sanders, and that kid would want to come play for you.
And then you go and get a seat in at left tackle, and you go and upgrade your defensive line. And how many quarterbacks are going to be fighting over the opportunity to replace Shador next year?
A lot.
I think a lot. I think a lot. A whole lot. Oak State James has a super chat.
Okay.
Pedo Priest or
for sure.
Decks?
I think it's Pedo Priest for sure. Yeah.
The stadium guy James knows how to fix Oak State.
Oh, please.
I would have preferred Pedo Priest. Oak State fires Dunn as OC and hires Zach Robinson. Then in 3 years, Gundy retires. Coach Zach becomes the head coach. Yet notice that you're fine with Mike Gundy for 3 more years. For 3 more years. And now you want Zach Robinson. Why don't you fire Mike Gundy and just rebuild the program?
Yeah, why not just clean house? Like
if you look at their staff, and here's my question. Why Zach Robinson? Why Zach Robinson? You think he's going to leave? Where is he? The Falcons? You think he's going to leave the Falcons to go take a step down at Oak State?
No.
And I'm just curious. You're going to leave the Atlanta Falcons to go to one of the most disappointing football programs in the entire country.
You're going to leave Atlanta to go to Stillwater to coach college football.
Bro,
I don't think so, bro.
That's not happening.
No, I don't think so.
That's not happening. Cougs Johnson. Texas has a worse schedule than Boise State. Their biggest win is Vandy, and they're ranked 10 spots higher. Say the quiet part out loud. Boise is going to have to be perfect to get in. And then they'll be the only G5 to get in. Because if they lose the conference championship game, is a 2-loss Boise team who lost to Sandusky State or whoever it would be, are they getting in? They're not. They're not. That's all I'm saying. Remember off season where everyone said fire Kalani, Jake Retzloff sucks, and this team blows? Man, college football is the best. I don't think anybody was saying fire Kalani. I think what we were talking about this offseason, I've always been a Jake Retzloff guy.
Yeah. Yeah, the offseason conversation was Jerry, don't call me Gary, Jerry Bohannon versus Retzloff. And BYU fan.
Gary Bohannon's more experienced.
Yeah.
Put him in the lineup.
Yeah.
Better runner than Jake is. And Jake throws 50 interceptions a year. Can't have a Jew playing quarterback at BYU.
That's
If Kalani's not bowl eligible, he's out of here, dude.
Yeah, that was the take, dude.
And what did I tell you? If Kalani wins 8 games, put a statue out front of the stadium. Because it would be an unbelievable season. Oh, look at that. They're 9-0. And why are they 9-0? Are they 9-0 without Jake Retzloff? They're not. You're welcome. Are they 9-0 without the Lassiter family of football greatness? They're not. Even with all of his drops, Darius Lassiter's a huge part of that. Right? Like you look at the talent that is here. That's why they're 9-0. Cougs Johnson also says, I can't believe College Football Playoff Show actually pointed that out about Boise State yesterday. But are they wrong? They're not wrong.
It's not like uncouth to say that, dude. Like Texas is a better team than Boise State, and I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that.
Texas is far better.
Yeah.
And my opinion has always been that any G5 team that wants to do what Utah and Boise originally did is going to have to be perfect. You're going to have to do what BYU's doing. BYU ain't getting in my opinion, if they don't win the next 3 games. Right. They're not getting in. Because I don't think they can beat Colorado in a conference championship game. If they go undefeated to the Big 12 championship game and lose, they can get in. That's the only math that maths.
Right.
For the Big 12. That's it. That's all. Zach Robinson is a former Cowboy. It could happen. So this is what you think is going to happen. You think a guy that's an NFL offensive coordinator is going to leave his NFL job to go be a coordinator in Stillwater to work for a guy that is not elite and is on his way out of the game? No. Nope. It's not happening.
Well, that's the issue, isn't it?
Sorry, bro.
It's not happening. If you had any balls at all at Oak State, you would fire Mike Gundy after this season. You would mutually agree. But you don't, so you won't. That simple. You're a wreck. You don't have a defense. You don't have an offense. And, again, I was making the mistake of reading our comment section yesterday and delving into the filtered comments. And one of the beloved Oak State fans was MFing Kyle Whittingham and saying that Witt's a bigger failure this year than your boy, Mike Gundy. And here's my question. If you're an Oak State fan, you truly believe that Mike Gundy's a better coach than Kyle Whittingham? Witt's got one of the best defenses in the country. And now one of the better offensive lines in the Big 12. And they're running the ball. They just can't throw the ball. What does Oak State have? You can't run the ball. You can't throw the ball. You can't stop anybody from running the ball. You can't stop anybody from throwing the ball.
Right.
You haven't won a game. You're going to lose in the bye week. Like, what are we doing?
Nothing good.
Are you crazy? Who else is better qualified to teach young guys at Oak State? What has that got to do with the price of tea in Stillwater?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think that that's your main priority here,
No.
man. You need to find a head coach that embraces the modern day college football system.
You need somebody that will say, I don't necessarily want to win the high school recruiting battle. I want to win the portal battle. And then give me 5 or 6 good recruits out of high school. But Mike Gundy won't get in the portal. Mike Gundy won't get in the NIL game. Mike Gundy, dude, do we really have to go back and play it? Do we really have to talk about, about Mike Gundy saying negotiations are over?
That's what I told the players. There's no negotiating now. Portal's over.
You want that guy to be your head coach.
What was it about him, and just what did you like about what you saw from McGann and stuff?
Do you want me to go back into coach talk, or do you want me to tell you the truth?
The truth.
The truth?
Yes.
He was very inexpensive.
So you don't have money? Wait a minute. You could afford him. He was cheap. You don't have any money. Yeah, I got to tell you, Coach Prime. I don't. You want that guy over this guy?
We get 25 high school players. How many is going to play that freshman year, at the most? Let's say 4 or 5, right? And so now you got 20 guys redshirted. So when you go through that spring with that 20 guys redshirted, how many are you going to retain after that spring? Or how many are going to jump in the portal on you? Let's just do it. If any one of you going to go statistically and try to calculate this, I already done it. So it's going to be how many? Half. Okay, why don't I just focus on 10? Guys that can, see, when we grab a freshman, we expect that guy to play.
Notice how different the energy is?
You want to talk about energy? How do you talk about NIL?
I don't. I mean, it's always a product and demand thing, right? What are some of the schools that are going to come after our players, going to offer them to try to get them in the portal? So you're always looking at that, and the collective and everyone's done a good job of continuing to raise the bar that way. But as far as an exact number, I couldn't give.
Well, just an estimate. I mean, millions and millions, or do you?
It's in the millions, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So wait a minute. You bought a player, Mike Gundy, because he was cheap, and you've got Oregon State and Bray talking about how, hey, that guy is, I've got millions in millions. Give me an estimate. Is it it's in the millions. You're over here at Oklahoma State, Barry Sanders and Thurman Thomas and the great Brandon Whedon, and I got that player because he was affordable. And yeah, Mike Gundy's better than Kyle Whittingham. Have you lost your mind?
Yeah, I couldn't get that last stop when we needed it, unfortunately. That's kind of been the story for several games. We play lights out and just can't get that one last stop. Thank you.
Yeah, give me Mike Gundy over that guy. You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. Mike Gundy's a has-been who really never was. And I understand that we have this conversation regularly. Bro, you're over here talking about changing hot dog vendors. I'm over here talking about changing the entire program. That's the problem with the Big 12.
Yeah.
You want to keep having Mike Gundy for 3 more years. I don't want Mike Gundy to coach 3 more games.
And I think that point right there is pervasive through the Big 12.
Yes.
How many Tech fans are defending Joey?
Like,
how many TCU fans are talking about Sonny being there several more years? Like, I just think that the expectations for these coaches is not high enough, and you're getting left behind, and then you're going to cry a river about how you got left behind.
And the biggest problem is I'm not even an Oak State fan. That's one of the richest programs in the entire conference,
Yes.
man.
Yes.
They've got a war chest, and he's out here talking about how negotiations are over, and he's only on my team because I could afford him. What? Like, what game are you trying to run a mental game? Because Deion's not. Deion's sitting up there talking about how, hey, man, if you're a freshman, I need you to come in here and play. So give me 10 freshmen who can come in here and play. I'll get everybody else out of the portal.
Yeah, you give me 20 red shirts, 10 are going to stay.
Come on.
4 are going to play. Like,
Like,
come on, bro. It's just 2 different things.
I struggle with it. I absolutely, like, the stuff that Mike Gundy has said that makes me shake my head is this right here.
This place has had tremendous success for
18 and a half years or 19. I can't do the math real good, and so unfortunately in life, most people are weak. And as soon as things start to not go as good as what they thought, they fall apart and they panic. And then they want to point the finger and blame other people. That you see it happen in everyday life. People do it all the time. That's why I refuse to watch the TV and watch the news, because I get tired of people complaining and bitching about this and that versus just doing something about it and trying to figure out a way to make it better. Well, that's what happens in college athletics. And as Jenny said, she's exactly right. It's just on the bigger stage where people can voice their opinion. And in most cases, the people that are negative and voicing their opinion are the same ones that can't pay their own bills. They're not taking care of themselves. They're not taking care of their own family. They're not taking care of their own job, but they have an obligation to speak out and complain about others because it makes them feel better. But then in the end, when they go to bed at night, they're the same failure that they were before they said anything negative about anybody else.
Okay. So he just called you stupid, poor, and dumb.
And a failure.
Hello?
Oh, fucking God.
James coming out of the dumpster after 3 more years of Mike Gundy.
Waves in opposition.
Are you out of your mind? Are you? Lincoln Riley's going to get fired because they haven't played for a national championship and they haven't won in the Big Ten. Andy's got a Heisman Trophy winner already at USC.
Fire and fury.
You're going to fire that guy. But Mike Gundy can talk about how stupid and broke you guys are, and you're unhappy because you ain't getting laid.
Oh, what a loser.
Come on, bro.
This is what I cannot do with football. Like, I don't understand you guys. Like, there are billboards in Morgantown to fire Neil Brown, and you want to keep Mike Gundy for 3 more years.
I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't know, man.
Which is good. Listen, you look at the teams at the top of this league. You look at BYU. Is Kalani calling fans stupid, broke, and unemployed? Is Kalani?
I can't believe that's real, bro. I cannot believe it's a real thing that happened, dude.
If Kalani's running back had gotten a DUI, would he have played this year and had to run stairs mercilessly but not get in trouble? No, he would not be on the team. He would have taken the year off.
To put it nicely.
If, like, say whatever you want. It's mystifying to me. All right. There endeth the lesson. I've probably gone too far with it. It's fine. You need a guy who can teach young quarterbacks next year and pick between Flores and Rangel or Smith. You need someone who can develop quarterbacks. And his name is Mike Gundy. He's the head coach and a legacy quarterback at Oklahoma State. You need a new head coach. You need a new system. You need a clean house. That's what you need, man. Tanner Plummer, Oak State's irrelevant. If it wasn't okay, if it wasn't for Oak State, James, they would have been talked about. They wouldn't be talked about on this show. They probably wouldn't. If you guys didn't come in here every day and tell us how great Mike Gundy's mullet is.
We got to replace the glizzy card on the upper deck. I mean, it's something that's got to happen.
The problem with these 18-team conferences is that many teams don't get tested. Indiana. True. And the problem with the way the Pac-12 melted down is you melted down a really good conference.
Yep.
On the field. It was one of the best conferences.
Their biggest problem was they were too tested.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you're seeing now, you're looking at Boise State and you're saying to yourself, okay, they have 1 game left on the schedule and it's Oregon State who's 4-5. Washington State is 8-1. Do you guys understand that? You get that, right? And who has Oregon State lost to? Oregon, Nevada, UNLV, Cal, and San Jose State.
And what is the Oregon State head coach talking about? What's he getting asked about? NIL portal,
money,
bringing in talent,
and he's talking about it openly. Mike Smith, oh my God, dumpster video. So
yeah,
good.
dude,
It had been too long. It had been too long. Are we really requesting videos now?
Waves in opposition. Anita Dick is an opponent. Waves in opposition. Holden Hiscock is also an opponent.
Dude.
Oh, man. So good. So good. UW fan Jim, Coug Johnson. I know Texas has played, but Boise State's schedule is still much softer. Still much softer.
Yeah.
Tanner Plummer, still crazy how BYU almost lost to those clowns from Stillwater.
Next comment.
They're not.
Next comment.
Classic. Yes, it is classic. All right. The Monty Show, as always, presented by our good friends at The Advocates, theadvocates.com. Speaking of coaches on the hot seat, who in the NFL is on the hot seat? We'll tell you in 15 seconds.
When you've been injured in an accident, you need a lawyer, and you deserve an advocate. Insurance companies don't always play fair, but we can keep them in check. Most cases settle out of court, but we'll take your case to trial if necessary. You deserve an advocate.
Yes, you do. The Advocates at theadvocates.com. The best injury attorneys in the business. Clear, risk-free advice. Chat with an injury attorney live online, and it won't cost you a dime. 24/7, 365 at theadvocates.com. NFL coaches on the hot seat. I think there are some givens, right? I don't think there's any doubt. Matt Eberflus.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any doubt. Mike McCarthy in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think will be the surprising coach, if any, that'll be fired on Black Monday?
Yeah, I think the like surprising, I think a lot of people look at the Raiders and they're wondering, what's the direction of this team? Is this a team that, does the ownership group there and the front office view Antonio Pierce as the issue, and are they going to fire him? So I think they will, but I think some people might take that as a surprise based on the fact that it's the Raiders, and the Raiders haven't historically been like this, the last 10 years haven't really been, this real winning franchise, if you will. I think Doug Peterson is another one where I look at that situation, and some folks who are casual football fans might be surprised, but I just think it's time. And it's not that I don't like Doug. I just think that franchise needs to figure it out with five head, because you're in the worst spot you can be. You're just good enough, but not bad enough. And I think at some point, like, several of these teams have to just take that step and say, yep, we're going to clean house and we're going to start over. And I think nobody would be surprised by Brian Daboll getting whacked, and especially amid these rumors and speculation that Daniel Jones is basically done for the year because he's been so bad. And so that's why I say, who would be the most surprising? I think probably Pierce in Las Vegas, but
you'd really be surprised if Antonio Pierce got whacked by the Raiders.
Yeah, I think I would be, only because it's not that I think he's done a good job or anything. I just don't expect the Raiders to do anything that would help them win games. Honestly, I know that sounds harsh, but like, when's the last time the Raiders were like, oh yeah, we're going to fire this guy and we're going to go make this great hire?
I think the surprising name lives in the NFC, and it's Sean McVay. I think the Rams are in this position where I think people thought they would be better. And I think Sean McVay has contemplated leaving that job for several years. And I think you're going to see that come to fruition. And if Sean McVay leaves the Rams, God, please hire him as the head coach of the Chicago Bears. Great offensive mind, youngest head coach in the history of the NFL, youngest head coach to reach a Super Bowl, youngest head coach to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He's everything that you want in a head coach. But I think the Rams are in a position where they very likely need change if they're going to move forward. And I mean seismic change. You've got to move on from Stafford. I think you've moved on, obviously, with 99 not being there anymore in the middle of that defense. You knew things would be different, but you've got to have systematic change in the NFL. You can't make small tweaks and changes.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the Chicago Bears, you're not going to make a small change like offensive coordinator and all of a sudden the rainbows and sunshine are coming out, because that's not happening. right? I think we know Brian Daboll in New York's a guy that probably doesn't survive this offseason because they're just not good. I think you have to make big, significant changes. And I think when Sean McVay is no longer the head coach of the Rams, I think there's a chance that they tear that thing to the ground.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. And I think, they're just, again, they're decent, but not great. And they're not terrible. You're in the worst spot you can be. Like, you'd rather be awful and at the top of the draft or really good and in the playoffs, obviously. And that's the hard part.
I think in the AFC, there's one team that could be shocking. The 8-2 Buffalo Bills. Do you hang on to Sean McDermott if you don't win a Super Bowl? I think this is a fascinating situation in Buffalo because they're really good. They're just not elite.
Mm-hmm.
They're not on par with the Kansas City Chiefs of the world. And if you look at the teams that are legitimate contenders in the AFC, I happen to believe the Baltimore Ravens are the best team in the conference. I think the Kansas City Chiefs are getting a tremendous amount of help from the officials week in and week out. And I think they're living dangerously. They needed to block a field goal to remain undefeated, right? And now what do we get? We get the Chiefs and the Bills in Buffalo. If Buffalo loses that game, I will be really fascinated to see what the sentiment around the Buffalo Bills is, because you're undefeated at home. You're 8-2 in total. And you're in a division where, frankly, you're the class of that division and you won't be tested probably for the rest of the year at 8-2. When you have the Dolphins, Jets, and Patriots all at 3 wins, it's going to be tough for them not to win that division.
Right.
So does winning the AFC East really prove any kind of point if you're Buffalo?
Well, it's that classic thing we always talk about in college football and obviously in the NFL, where you're good enough to win your division most years and go to the playoffs and, a lot of years get to the AFC Championship game, but you have Patrick Mahomes standing in the way. So, again, this is where I say, hey, it comes down to the philosophies of that front office. Does the front office believe that if you brought a new voice in and a new head coach that the team would get better? If we fire Sean, do we have a candidate we would go after, whether it's McVay or whoever you want to look at? And if we bring that guy in, does he help us get to the Super Bowl? Because that's the only thing that matters in Buffalo, right? You've shown you can get to the AFC Championship game. You're that good. Like, you've basically shown that you're better than pretty much everyone except for the Chiefs and the Ravens. Those two teams are the ones that are standing in your way. And hopefully, if you're Buffalo this year, the Chiefs and Ravens will eliminate each other, and then you play the winner of those two. Ideally, that's what would happen for you. That's how the cookie would crumble. So I agree. I mean, if it's another thing where you run into the Chiefs, especially in a year where people are saying, hey, the Chiefs are a bit undermanned, like obviously you added, Hopkins and, you're finding ways to win, but this offense is not nearly what it used to be. And yet they're still finding ways to win. That's when you're like, all right, hey, we gotta, we gotta talk about Sean at that point.
And I think when you look at the really, really bad teams in this league, and I don't think there are a lot of elite teams in the NFL right now. I think this is one of the worst groupings of teams that we've seen.
Yeah.
How many of the teams on this right here, how many of these clubs are going to fire their coach? Jacksonville? Probably.
Yep.
New York? Probably. Tennessee? No, they just did. The Cleveland Browns? I think that's a real question on Stefanski. We screwed Oakland. Antonio Pierce is probably there. I mean, that's a bad football team that's gotten worse under Antonio Pierce. New England, no. New Orleans already did. The Jets already did. The Panthers just did, so they won't.
I think there was some conversation in New England. I mean, I know this is his first year or whatever, but
yeah, I think Drake May has looked good. Drake May has looked good. I don't think that you can, in my opinion, I don't think that you can look at what's going on in Miami and believe that Mike McDaniel should be fired when you and I both know that there is unquestionable history and tradition built into his offensive legacy and into his DNA as a football coach.
Right.
Their problem's not the head coach, it's the quarterback. Because look how much better that team is when you have Tua Tagovailoa on the field. They're a completely different team when he's not tackling with his head. So I even these are the worst teams in the NFL right now. And I say a lot of those teams are going to make changes. Does Stefanski get fired in Cleveland?
That's a really tough one to answer, dude. I mean,
This guy's two-time coach of the year. I don't think you're
Yeah,
firing him.
I don't think you're firing him, but obviously see, because here's the deal. I don't think anybody
Here's the
deal. I don't think anybody knows what the relationship is like between Stefanski and the front office and the ownership group. I think some people speculated that he was only playing Deshaun because he was forced to, because they said, you damn well better play him or we're going to fire you or whatever. They held him hostage, basically. And again, Jameis comes out his first game and does great and then comes back to earth. And nobody's going to blame Stefanski for that because we all know who Jameis Winston is. So it's like, it's a situation where it kind of feels like, yes, Stefanski's a great head coach. And frankly, for his sake, I'd want him to get fired so he could get to a better opportunity because, again, assuming McCarthy gets fired, that's going to be a grade A job. Assuming the Bears opening is available, that's a great job. Assuming the Rams are available, that's a great job.
How attractive is the Dallas Cowboy job right now? If you are Bobby Slowick and you're the offensive coordinator with the Houston Texans.
No, I don't think you want to go to Dallas. I think the Dallas job is only attractive to veteran head coaches who have already seen some success in the league and have a long enough track record where you could say, yeah, you know what? The failure in Dallas, that wasn't on you. That was on Jared.
So if you're Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator with the best team in the NFC, the Detroit Lions, are you leaving to go to Dallas?
I don't think so.
I don't think you are. Now, it's a head job in the NFL, but are you going to win a championship in Dallas?
Not with Jerry running the team. I just don't think you are.
I don't think you are.
I think you'd rather go to the Rams.
Because here's the real question. Is the GM a problem in Chicago? And I don't think he is. And I think he's put together a really nice defense. And I think, and I shouldn't even say this out loud because Virginia might hear me, I think the Bears are on the precipice of hiring the best offensive mind they can find.
No.
And there was some talk on Chicago radio that if you hired Bobby Slowick, who would you hire as your offensive coordinator?
McVey?
Mike McCarthy. All damn day.
You really think McCarthy's going to take a coordinator job?
I do. I think that Mike McCarthy is an incredibly, he talked about this when he got the job. He's an incredibly competitive guy. And he was, all I'll say is, yes, I would do that in a second.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be a bad hire. I'm not saying I wouldn't.
You could mentor Bobby Slowick.
Right.
Mike McCarthy could be a mentor. He's not a threat to replace Bobby Slowick because Mike will probably get another head coaching job. He would be your offensive coordinator for a year, and then he gets his own job, much like, I don't know, Dan Quinn in Washington. What did Dan Quinn do? Got fired in Atlanta, took a step down to be a defensive coordinator in Dallas, and then got the head job in Washington.
How many coordinators is Caleb Williams going to have to go through?
I think Bobby Slowick's your coordinator, and I think Mike McCarthy is one of the best developers of quarterbacks we've seen. Dak Prescott is unquestionably a better quarterback under Mike McCarthy. Obviously, Favre into Aaron Rodgers was a tough transition. Aaron Rodgers is unquestionably one of the better quarterbacks of his generation who doesn't win big games.
Mm-hmm.
But you could do a whole lot worse than Mike McCarthy and Bobby Slowick.
I agree. I mean, nobody's going to complain if you do that. I think that my only concern if I'm the Bears front office in that scenario is just how many new systems are we going to ask our franchise guy to learn?
But you're not changing systems if Mike McCarthy leaves. What you're going to do is you're going to run Bobby Slowick's system. He's an offensive guy. Mike McCarthy's only job is to, in my opinion, be the play caller and coach the quarterback. That's his only job. That's the entirety of it. Ryan Poles, your job is to get better offensive linemen.
Yeah.
Because their defense is already top 10 in the NFL, which is all you need to go to a Super Bowl. And I think you need three legit guys on the offensive line.
Yeah, you do.
And if you get that, you've got 4 wide receivers. Now, I don't know, and I don't even know if UW fan Jim is here today. Please don't have a hysterectomy live on the show. I think Roma Dunze is backsliding. And I think it's poor coaching. Roma Dunze, 3 times in the last 2 weeks on 3rd, and I think 2 were 3rd and 7, 1 was 3rd and 9. This past week against New England, he stopped a 3rd and 7 route at 5 yards and dropped the pass. He ran a dig, and in Chicago, I think they call it a ghost dig, where you lean out and then dig inside. And Caleb Williams threw a route that was supposed to keep going, but it didn't matter because I'm pretty sure it was a 3rd and he was 2 yards short of the line. So not only did he not catch the pass, not only did he stop and Caleb threw a route that was supposed to keep going, but he ran the route 2 yards short.
Yeah.
And then last week was the 3rd and 9 that he ran at 3rd and 5. It was an out route. He was in the slot. And I want to say it was Keenan Allen ran inside. Cole Kmet ran up the hash. Odunze ran an out at 5 yards. Like there now is a lot of that coaching. Yes. But you're Roma Dunze. You don't know down and distance. I think he's regressing. I think the timing in this stuff, in this offense has been horrendous. And I think you're watching. I don't think Caleb Williams is regressing. I think he's just not growing at all now because he's not playing free football.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he doesn't trust what his eyes are seeing.
And the young guys are not growing with him.
Yeah.
And we'll see. I think you have to, in Chicago, give Ryan Poles a chance to fire the head coach, clean out the coaching staff, and hire a head guy. And that head guy should be Bobby Slowick. And you need a veteran offensive coordinator under him. I think that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
I think that's what you have to do. So, Tanner Plummer. But McCarthy coached Aaron Rodgers. Would you be okay with it? What's coaching Aaron Rodgers got to do with anything?
Yeah.
I don't understand that question. Ben Johnson wanted head coaching jobs of the Bears, but not OC. Bears keep making mistakes. You need to clarify that. Ben Johnson was not. I don't believe that he was. They wanted a defensive guy when they hired Eberflus. They were coming out of an offensive guy that was a terrible hire, and they wanted a defensive guy. So I don't think Ben Johnson was ever a finalist, and I think he withdrew his name if I'm remembering right. Roma Dunze, was that guy draft experts disagreed with you about, Marty? No, actually, the draft experts disagreed with anyway. Doesn't matter. Ryan Poles is heading into his 3rd year, inherited Eberflus. He isn't the problem. Let him hire his first head coach, and then we can judge his choices. He's got to improve the offensive line. He sat up there after the season ended last year and said he liked Matt Eberflus. Could have fired him then. Said that in the summer, said he really liked his offensive line, and he's got 8 guys that he feels like he could go to battle with. I think there are questions about him.
Yeah, I also think that he's playing the media game too, though. You know, I'm a big believer that you can't ever. I'm not going to judge, how he actually views his offensive line based on what he says about him in the media. I mean, you have to understand that. You have to understand that the choice was Caleb Williams or the offensive line, and they drafted Caleb Williams.
There's just no place for these rookies to go.
Yeah.
Cole Kmet, how is Cole Kmet going targetless in a game?
Bad play calling.
How is Roma Dunze taking this much of a step backward? How is Keenan Allen a non-factor? How is Moore a non-factor? How is Cole Kmet a non-factor? How's the offensive line this bad? Not all of that's on the offensive coordinator. Hate to break it to you. And then there is Mike Tomlin.
Now, I think it's really funny that at the beginning of the year, everyone was like, hey, are they going to fire Mike Tomlin finally? Are the Steelers actually going to make a move? And then what did Mike Tomlin do? And I don't even know their record off the top of my head. But
800 wins against 0 losses.
Mike
ever.
Tomlin just ripping off another, plus 500 year.
But they have played nobody.
Hey, whatever, man.
Falcons, Broncos, Chargers, Colts, Cowboys, Raiders, Jets, Giants, Commanders.
Commanders are a good team.
They beat the Commanders 28-27.
Yeah, but other than that, it's been pretty light. But
now Sunday they get the Ravens, and I have a feeling Mike Tomlin's not going to be so high and mighty about his former wide receiver as he was the other day.
To be honest with you, I hadn't thought a lot about it. He's not on a lot of their video, and so at this stage of the week, I don't know that I've weighed what he might mean to the matchup. They got more significant pieces with larger roles that are occupying my attention at this part of the week.
That's Mike Tomlin talking about former Pittsburgh Steeler wide receiver Deontay Johnson, who now is on the Ravens. There's not a whole lot of tape on him, and if I'm being honest, they have far more and better weapons. Impactful players.
Yeah.
Think there's an animus there? Think it was personal there with Mike Tomlin and Deontay, Diontae Johnson? I'm going to say it was personal.
Yeah.
I'm going to say some folks didn't like each other. Do you like Mike Tomlin?
I do. I
do.
I think that, I think that Mike has the right temperament for that organization. That's why they keep him around. I think he's a guy that you're never going to see throwing chairs and stuff, but he's more than happy to call his players out in the post game. He's more than happy to do stuff like this, and he keeps them just good enough. I mean, we know who the Steelers are as an organization. We know that they're an organization that prioritizes stability, not winning football games. And I get it. Russet is doing nice things.
Russet.
And, he's worked out so far. But we'll see. We'll see what they do against the Ravens.
I think that Russell Wilson has worked out well so far against your mom's sewing circle.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's time to play the Baltimore Ravens. And I think Baltimore is the bar in the AFC. I think they're better than the Chiefs. I think we'll find out. Let's see. The wide receivers are frustrated with Caleb. Caleb needs to give his wide receivers an option to catch 50-50 balls. Caleb needs to know that wide receivers aren't going to be wide open like they were in college. And Odunze was known to catch 50-50 balls. But what have we talked about with Caleb Williams? I would agree that Caleb Williams is a guy that has not played very well. I understand why he's not played very well. He is not throwing the ball to the right place. On almost every snap, he throws the ball in the wrong place.
Right.
That's coaching. It's inexcusable for wide receivers. And Keenan Allen, one of them. It's inexcusable for wide receivers in the NFL to drop passes on third down. It's just, you cannot do that. It's going to happen. But you can't drop a ball when you ran the route 2 yards short. And this is what we talked about with Rome Odunze. And this is what everybody worried about. Is he a guy that goes up and battles you for the ball? Yes. Is he a great route runner? No, he's not. He's a guy that if you tell him, run in a straight line and go catch this football, he's going to be fine. But when you're asking him to run detailed digs and you're asking him to make sure that dig route on 3rd and 7 is 7.5, 8 yards, he's not going to make that play right now. And a lot of that is coaching. In my opinion, Rome Odunze is talented as the day is long, but you got to coach that kid up. He's got to learn to run routes well. And he's not a gifted route runner. He's not DJ Moore. He's not Keenan Allen. You've got to teach him. Like Cole Kmet is a gifted route runner. It's a gifted catcher of the football. Cole Kmet's not the guy that's going to run a route 5 yards when it should be 7.
Right. Yeah. Totally agree.
And that's the difference with a rookie wide receiver who wasn't a polished route runner in college.
But I also think that's part of why changing your coaching staff now is a good idea, because these guys are still young. They're still in development. You're not in a place where you're expecting to win Super Bowls right now.
It's not catastrophic and it's not terminal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And firing the offensive coordinator was massively important. That was a move that had to be made.
Yep.
I did not put my Bears flag out this past weekend. I was too embarrassed. That you got dominated. Do you guys understand? You got dominated in man coverage. There was nothing schemed. There was no disguise. The New England Patriots ran man coverage all day. It's called man over. And you have wide receivers who can't beat their guy off the line because they're poorly coached.
Yeah.
They're not motivated and they're not playing hard.
What do you do?
That, I don't know what you do. I feel like a lot of people in the NFL would hate Mike Tomlin because they think he's a mediocre coach. I don't think he's a mediocre coach. I think Mike Tomlin's won Super Bowls. But is Mike Tomlin the guy I want coaching my team? He's not. Is I think that there's a lot of people struggling to have real world discussions. This was the Oak State discussion.
Right.
What do you want out of your football team? Well, what I want out of my football team is I want explosive offense and a top 10 defense. I don't want to turn around and hand the ball off 35 times a game. That's not what wins you Super Bowls. If we learned anything in the last decade, turning around and handing the ball off 35 times a game doesn't win you Super Bowls.
Yeah, and I think the Ravens are trying to prove that wrong with King Henry, and they haven't been able to prove that yet. I mean, it's worked so far, but again, when you get in the playoffs and you start playing the best teams in the league, what's it look like? Because that's the core fundamental, obviously, of any NFL defense and really any defense in college football is, can you stop the run? It all starts there.
Do you want to be the Arizona Cardinals? Like, think about the mediocre teams. You want to be the Chicago Bears?
Chargers,
Seahawks, Browns, Bengals usually, Jacksonville usually. Like, you guys, what are we talking about? We're talking about a league where very few owners are willing to do what needs to be done to be elite. And then there's guys like Jerry Jones who thinks he's doing everything he can do to be elite, and they just suck face.
Yeah.
Right? Because he doesn't know what he's doing. I'd rather have that than just mediocre football where, yeah, let's build a football stadium on a horse track. Smells like manure. Hey, but we'll be making a lot of money. I don't want anything to do. Oh, wait, that's the Bears.
Yeah.
I don't want anything to do with that.
Hey, let's put a lid on Soldier Field.
I would so much rather be the Pittsburgh Steelers and compete for a Super Bowl every 5 years. Have a franchise quarterback. And when you don't, you're going to trade guys and looking for guys. And
like, you're doing enough to make your fan base feel like you're trying to be competitive.
I'd rather have Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow than Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze today, right now.
Right.
I like, you look around this league, it's not hard to tell the teams that are elite. I don't want to be the Seattle Seahawks post Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in being the Las Vegas Raiders ever. They don't compete for Super Bowls anymore. I don't want to be, I'd love to be the Rams, have one of the elite stadiums in all of sports, an owner that spends money and high expectations.
And you're in LA.
I'd rather be the Rams.
Yeah.
But I look at the Indianapolis Colts. I want nothing to do with that. Richardson's one of the worst draft picks in the history of the NFL.
Yeah.
And they don't want to talk about that. And now you've benched him in year 2.
And you're going to trade him.
If you're benching your rookie quarterback in year 2, you're dumb. You're not good at football. You're not good at football. Give me Mike McDaniel and Caleb Williams. Put those two in Chicago together, we're going to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and
put Matt Eberflus and Caleb Williams in Chicago, you're not going to win many games.
Yeah, that concept of, hey, really good offensive quarterback who's a young kid in the league with an offensive mind. I just don't know how somebody would say that doesn't make sense.
That's what the league is now.
Yeah.
That's what the league is now. Period, point blank.
Yeah.
All right, I want to talk about in the pooper for Cooper. Did you guys see Cooper Flagg last night? Cooper Flagg is exactly what college basketball needs. Pop the jersey, celebrate, give him 5. Oh, that's right. And then he slipped and fell on the baseline with the game on the line, and they lost to Kentucky. Cooper Flagg's really good. Kentucky's really good. BYU fan is pissed that Kentucky's really good. Kentucky's really good.
Yeah.
Cooper Flagg's really good. That was one of the most enjoyable games I've watched in many, many years.
But I think it was nice, like, you know, in college basketball with these recruits that are coming into college from high school, like, you know, you have the whole high school, like, basically hitman tape that they all make where they're dunking on dudes and throwing up, like, 50 points a game and just, like, torching people. And I think it's good for guys like Cooper to get into these games that are much more competitive. You know, you notice that the size that he has is no longer an advantage, right? Against teams like Kentucky, where like, yes, it's great. What is he, 6'7", I think he is? Like, it's great to be 6'7", and it's great to have the handle in the mid-range game and the 3-ball game. But defenders aren't stupid. And you know, you're getting forced to the baseline and you slip. That's going to happen. That's part of what it is. But you'd rather have Cooper Flagg with the ball in his hands in the last possession, slip and fall, than somebody else, you know? And I have to think that that's going to be a big time learning lesson. You're going to come out of that and run a better set. Next time you have that kind of opportunity, he's going to know, probably shouldn't go baseline on the final possession of the game.
Cannot turn the ball over twice in the last 60 seconds.
Yeah. You know, like, so those are things that Cooper Flagg's going to learn. I think that, you know, these top end prospects are really talented, but now you're learning how to play ball. Now you're learning how to actually hoop at a really, really high level strategically. And I enjoy that process. I enjoy watching these guys come out here and learn how to do that. I get burned out on, he can dunk on every high school kid. Dude, he's dunking on Buddy that is struggling to do algebra work, you know, in the middle of the day.
And I will say the same thing every week on the show. The one segment we talk college basketball, everybody can dunk.
Yeah.
Everybody can dunk. Can you handle? In the pooper for Cooper. Can you shoot? In the pooper for Cooper.
Yep.
That kid's got it all. And I hate to break this to you, ACC fan. Kansas is the best team in the country.
You know,
how good is that? How good is Bill Self?
Very good.
My good gracious. How good is Bill Self? Like,
yeah.
And anyway, my point is with Cooper Flagg, huge win for the Utah Jazz last night with that loss to Phoenix. I mean, that is, you want to talk about really close. Like, you had every belief that they were going to go ahead and lose by winning that game. That would have been a huge loss had they won that game.
Well, but they took note, and, you know, they lost the game and did their job, and, you know.
Note.
Yeah.
It's just a huge win by pulling that loss out. And I think that
what is it? You snatched a loss from the jaws of victory.
Yeah. You really, that's a huge win in Phoenix last night. Getting your ass kicked by Devin Booker was exactly what you executed to a high level.
Stay hard.
I should probably stop.
Getting your ass kicked by Devin Booker.
Yeah, you executed at a high level there. Now I understand why you didn't trade Jordan Clarkson. I get it.
Yeah.
Totally understand that. You know, it's fine. Eric and Raleigh says 2 turnovers in the last minute for Pooper Cooper. Yes, exactly. We can't call the kid Pooper Cooper all year. Can we just not do this?
Well, you know, Monty, capture the flag, you know, didn't really capture the flag last night, you know?
Hey, Poops, how you doing, bud?
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm not. I probably will. Cooper is really good, but he's still only 17.
Yep.
He's got every skill in the bag. Brad Adams, Flagg awesome, but his foot got stuck trying to dribble.
And it's going to happen, dude.
He's going to have bad moments.
It's not perfect. He's a human.
I think you should already be able to see it in guys.
Yeah.
Right? You knew Zion Williamson was never going to be healthy. Right? Fat ass just can't lay off the buffet. So
and certain female
prostitutes and porn stars and stuff.
Yeah.
He's not a professional.
Fat.
Pooper is Cooper Flagg is a professional.
Yeah.
This is what his life is built around. And that's the guy I want.
Mm-hmm.
That's the guy I want. This is what his life is built around, man. So Eric and Raleigh, go baseline, but pull up from 10 to 12 feet and bury the dagger jumper. It's what you got to do. Tanner Plumer, Jazz keep stacking them L's. Oh, sorry, I meant to say dubs.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, win by losing every single night. Every single night. Fat old Mormon and dying. College basketball doesn't start till March, Morty. Exactly right.
Yeah, we got time still.
Tank note, exactly right. The reverse Mike Singletary, I want losers, exactly.
That's right.
Hey, speaking of losers, did you guys see Steph last night?
Excuse me. Olympic Steph last night. That's his new token term. Olympic Steph last night.
Okay. Stupid face Luka's in the best shape of his career.
My name is Luka.
And he got beat badly last night. I would like to thank Luka Doncic for keeping the backboard business in a thriving position.
Yeah.
By throwing all those bricks off the backboard last night, especially with the game on the line. Yeah, I know your mom's hot. Now you got this kid and you were in the gym over the summer. As much as things have changed, you're still fat and your game sucks.
Okay. You're still fat and your game sucks.
I am not a Luka Doncic fan.
What?
I know that's hard to believe. And I know that you guys can't tell that by my commentaries.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Yeah, it is. Last night, Luka had 31, 8, and 6, and I'm saying he's fat and he sucks. I enjoy watching him lose. Klay Thompson last night, 6 of 12 from 3 for 22. And it wasn't enough because Draymond Green, as much as you all hate Draymond Green, that block at the cup was
sensational.
Dude.
Stay hard.
That was sensational.
Yeah, that was pooper level.
Too much. And then Steph dropping threes all over you was, I thought he celebrated a little too early. But they go on to win the game 121-17 in one of the best NBA games I've seen in the regular season in 5 years. That was one of the most entertaining games I have seen.
Yeah.
Steph Curry's a witch. I don't know what he did or how much sage he has burned to exercise his demons. I have no idea how those shots are going in.
Yeah, he's just better.
And I've said it for 10 years. How the hell did that ball go in? I don't know, but it just does. I mean, he is unbelievable. I want people that want to lose. I want losers. Jeremy Bolton, I'd be full on shatting myself to get Cooper.
Sorry, you just said shatting
Cooper.
yourself, dude.
Okay.
Like
the Jazz are on the SAG for flag string.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know about that. That doesn't feel right. At least they are doing the tank right, building those Abrahams using well-timed bricks, bro.
Yeah.
The Jazz are not good. Laurie's got a sore knee, missed some of the second half. The Singletary rant is so underrated. It really is. I think James Houston was already pooping for Cooper.
No,
Okay?
we're not playing your games, dude. We're not playing your games.
No.
He sat in Gatorade. You know that.
That's what he did.
Yeah.
And did you delete that picture?
Yeah, I did.
You deleted that picture.
Yeah, I did.
He was pooping for Coopin.
Yeah.
The Marriott Center holds 19,000 people. It's fine as it is. What do you? Oh,
okay. What is?
I'm going to the BYU basketball game tonight, and because of Oak State, James, I'm going to keep asking myself: does the Marriott Center need an upper deck? It's a great. Hey, anybody see that? I think it's GCU and Arizona State tomorrow night.
Yeah.
The Lopes. Good luck against Grand Canyon. That's a good team. That is how into college basketball is everybody on this show? Everybody in the comment section right now, hit the like button and then 1 through 5. 5 being you are passionate about college basketball. 1 being you don't give a rat's ass. How passionate about college basketball are you? Because again, I'm a North Carolina fan and our season already ended with that loss to Kansas. I don't even have Armando Bacot to blame it on anymore. But it's going to be interesting to see how crappy North Carolina is this year because I am
Big 12 better have a good basketball year, bro. Better have a lot of teams in the
I'm a little worried about it. Houston didn't look good in that loss either, though.
Yeah.
Houston.
I mean, it's still early. Still early.
Houston.
You know, got
Well, they've
time.
played 2 games.
Yeah,
so
you got time.
you can't lose to Auburn badly, especially after Auburn beat the crap out of each other on that flight. I'm a little worried about Houston. And you got, I mean, listen, you had 5 guys in double figures and you still lost to Auburn because you can't defend, or you didn't defend. So we'll see. Anyway, yeah. How passionate are you guys? 1 through 5. Utah by 5. Okay. Giggity. GCU basketball season ticket holder for 8 years now. Lopes up. Are you really?
Okay.
Let's go.
Didn't know that about you, bro.
Let's go. Sal Capone. Just give me my money. Okay. Duke about to lose again next Friday at Arizona. Sal. How's your pooper? Because Cooper's coming. Today will be the last day I ever say pooper at 8:03. Because I'm going to say it every day at different times. You guys probably already know this, but I'm going into college basketball. I'm big into college basketball. 10 for me. Okay. I'm a 2 during the regular season, a 5 during the tournament season. The conference tournaments, absolutely.
Agreed.
Absolutely. It's still early. Houston will be fine. We hope so. Snooker. With BYU getting those recruits, I feel like I need to get into basketball. You probably do. They're going to be good. Brandon Butler. I have been at least at a 1 since the one and done began. Well, there you go. Nightmare says he's a 4. Mile High Phil. I'm in it. I'm into it at 4, but my Buffs might have a rough year. Lost a lot of people. Well, and Deion's going to Tallahassee. Oak State.
Yeah.
I love college basketball. 5. At least Oak State hired a new basketball coach. Does he have a mullet? All right. Can we get into the story that I probably don't want to get into? Because I have a feeling this is going to derail the show.
No, it is.
It's a suspicion I have. After you download the Prize Picks app, you deposit $5 in a new Prize Picks account. They'll give you 50 more. Prize Picks, America's favorite daily fantasy. Here's what I'm telling you. Maybe we need to start doing giveaways on the show for Prize Picks. I'm telling Prize Picks is the best daily fantasy in the business. I love it. I'm going into winter on Prize. Winter is it's not coming. It's arrived.
Here.
0 for 3 in the NBA last night. That's the first time I've ever done an 0 for in the NBA. Speaking of in the pooper for Cooper. You guys see Lonzo Ball's wrist is injured. He's out.
He just, again, he can't stay healthy. It is what it is, man.
Which is what we could say about Rory McIlroy's marriage. Now looky here. So you know that Rory McIlroy had a rough patch in his marriage, right? And he was separated from his wife. They were going to file for divorce, and then they mutually agreed that they were still madly in love. And Rory went back to hitting bombs on his wife.
If you felt these balls.
And, I mean, hole in one, right? Marianne Riley O'Neill, who is somehow involved in golf, don't ask me how, says that Rory McIlroy, and I hope you're sitting down for this, that Rory McIlroy did have a relationship with Amanda Balionis from CBS.
You guys know her, right? We all know Amanda.
Awkwardly not hot golf reporter who does NFL sidelines
for
CBS.
She's hot?
Nah, I don't think so. Okay. Anyways, this psycho or this person says that Rory McIlroy used Amanda Balionis as a beard, which means a cover-up, so that he could have sex with his male caddy, Harry Diamond. And that they are lovers. And Amanda Balionis was used as a distraction so that they could look at each other's shafts on the golf course. And that he only left Harry Diamond so that he could go back to his wife so that people wouldn't know he was pulling out the driver on Harry Diamond. This woman is accusing Rory McIlroy of being a closeted gay man who used a alleged affair with Amanda Balionis from CBS to cover up his gay sex with his male caddy.
Dude.
True story. It's not. She said that on Twitter and then immediately deleted the tweet. And I need to know, are you stiff or super stiff?
I'm going to need a Netflix documentary, bro.
Is it a fade for you, or is Rory more of a guy that's on the draw?
This can't be true.
What is his shot shape, Harry? This is ridiculous. Rory McIlroy's not gay. And if you're Rory, how do you not sue this woman? Because Rory is back with his wife. And Amanda Balionis and Rory McIlroy have both vehemently denied, essentially, that they had an affair. It was a raging rumor over the summer.
Right. Yeah.
We talked about it on the show, I think.
Yeah.
This is crazy to me.
This is one of the most outlandish allegations I've ever heard in my time talking about sports. I can't, obviously crazy things have happened, but to say that Amanda was a cover-up for Rory getting after it with his caddy is wild.
Anything going on in golf today? Yeah, Rory McIlroy's pounding his caddy deep down the fairway. I'm sorry. Say what now?
Did you just say what I think you said?
Rory McIlroy is having an affair with his male caddy. He's gay, but he's in the closet, and he used Amanda Balionis for a beard. You're out of your mind, lady. And if Rory McIlroy does not sue, even one of the Live Golf guys came out and defended Rory McIlroy. That's how bad this is. One of the oh my God, his name's right out of my head. But when you have Live Golf guy, Anthony Kim, when Anthony Kim is coming out and saying, he basically said, you're out of your mind. If you gay, you gay, and that's okay. But Rory McIlroy is not gay, bruh. That's exactly what Anthony Kim's response to this was.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a problem if Rory was gay, but the thing here is that Rory has never been.
He's not gay.
Yeah, he doesn't. That's not how Rory's ever been viewed, and
never.
The other problem is, dude, and this might be somewhat controversial, but yeah, it matters more because he's one of the best golfers in the world. Yeah, it matters more because he, is probably the best golfer of his generation. He wasn't in the Tiger generation. He was the generation after that. And that's kind of the crazy thing is you've got all this Saudi money, PIF, Live Golf thing happening. And then this just kind of comes out of the woodwork and it's what?
I'm telling you now, this is one of the most outrageous things I have ever heard. And I think it's slanderous. I think it's libelous. She deleted the tweet for a reason, right?
I guess.
Do we have zero accountability anymore?
I'm just curious what motivated you to say this.
I don't know.
What's the real story here? What is the thing that made this woman make this claim?
I don't know. But
because that's what I want to know. I want to know what's the backstory between this woman making the claim and Rory, and what caused the fire to get stoked to a point where she had to she came out and tweeted this and then deleted it, and it's just, you guys know how that goes. That there's always a story you're not getting when stuff like this comes out.
And if you're going to tweet that, you can't delete that tweet. You cannot delete that tweet.
No.
And obviously there's been some questions about the way that Harry Diamond has advised Rory on the course, not making him step off over putts that he went on and missed. And you do a search of Rory McIlroy, Harry Diamond gay, and you get all the craziness. And it's because of this woman. And in my opinion, I think if you're Rory McIlroy, don't you have to take action to protect your name?
I think you do. I think you do. But we'll see what he does. Maybe he takes the strategy of not even acknowledging it because it's so ridiculous.
It's wild to me. Mr. Preston says, I ain't ducking no smoke. Ain't no reset.
Yeah. Right? Isn't this a thing where you would think he'd go after her? You would think that there would be some type of action, but I don't know.
And listen, again, this always turns into these discussions. Well, what's wrong if he is gay? Nothing.
That's not the point.
But that's not how our society works. Our society looks down on people like Rory McIlroy. If it were true, I'm not saying it is.
Well, Monty.
If he were a closeted gay man that were using Amanda Balionis as a beard, do you know how much absolute vitriol, anger, and hate would be lobbed at Rory McIlroy for that?
Ain't ducking no smoke.
It's not true. I'm just telling you right now, it's not true. And I am. The Stadium guy, James, if I was Rory, I would ignore it because the story is that absurd. It's not worth responding to. And I think there's real credence in that. Yeah. I don't know. I thought it was such an outlandish story.
I mean, the shock value of it is crazy.
Wild.
I mean, I don't know. That's a pretty heinous thing to come out and say about someone. And that's why I'm telling you, follow this story. I guarantee you there will be more details that come out about it at some point.
Okay, I have one more opportunity to put a password in my phone before it erases itself.
What?
Okay, there we go.
Dude, what are you doing?
I was trying to fat finger my iPhone, and you only get I don't know how many I have it set to. You only get a certain number of wrong passwords and the phone will delete itself.
We're in a control position.
Sal Capone, he holds on that club. The way he holds the club, stop. I looked at his knuckles, bro. She wanted his driver on her fairway, and
you guys are so childish, bro.
Shouted.
Really, dude? We're having a competition to see who can make the best golf joke here.
Rory McIlroy, Harry Diamond, and the Ryder Cup.
Wow, Rory was deep in Harry's bunker there, man, and his sand game is incredible.
What?
Man,
he was deep in his bunker.
Yeah, man. Rory talked about Harry Diamond's pop bunker, and it was really, really tough.
I don't know what else I'm supposed to say to pot bunker guy.
Well, Rory's really a big time pole cut guy, and Harry's responsible for that.
Talk about a slice. I am so glad hell is not real because we'd all be doing this show there tomorrow. The Monty Show, as always, presented by The Advocates at theadvocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business. Clear, risk-free advice, 24/7, 365. And it won't cost you a dime at theadvocates.com. Until tomorrow, apologize, Jake.
I'm sorry, Jake.